Good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sinclair Risk Safeguard Advantage podcast. I'm John Bielek, coming to you after taking a week off from the podcast as a reminder that everybody needs a little time off right now. Everybody needs to take a break, get some rest and relaxation, spend some time with your loved ones, your family, your friends. Get away from your phones, get away from your screens, get away from your news. Get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather up here in New England this time of year. Take a minute to step back because right now everyone's mental health is challenged. Employees, business owners, doesn't matter. I can sense it, I can feel it in conversations I'm having. So make sure you're taking time for yourself. On that note, today we are going to address five key emerging risks to your company's risk management and insurance programs. We're going to start with low-level stuff and then move into more forward-thinking, longer to prepare for, but well worth the ROI subjects. Number one, catalytic converter theft. The price of metals is up. The thieves know it. They figured out a pretty quick way to make a few bucks, which is going down your line of trucks parked along the fence at night and taking the catalytic converters and selling them to a scrapyard. Make sure you're implementing anti-theft measures in your fleet right now today, because I know it's not easy, but it's only a matter of time before someone who's an opportunist with bad intentions sees your truck sitting in a row and can roll from one to the next, taking off the catalytic converters very quickly, and you come in the next morning expecting for a productive day and your fleet's down. I don't want to see that happen to you. Number two, I have a question for you. If your building burned to the ground today, could you replace it for what you thought it cost? Meaning what you implemented for your insurance limit at the time of your renewal. We've all been to the lumber stores by now. We've all seen what the cost of building materials is doing as I speak. And although it is starting to come down a little bit, I can't believe what I paid for a few boards from the lumber store a few weeks ago. Well, the same applies to the cost to rebuild your building. Most property insurance policies contain a co-insurance clause. Most agents don't know what that means, so therefore they don't even advise you to pay attention to it. But it's very important in times like this when building materials skyrocket. Property policies also typically have an inflation guard, but the inflation guard percentage that's usually used is significantly lower than what we're seeing in the escalation of building material costs. So if you can't replace your building for the coverage amount that you're purchasing as we speak, there could be a co-insurance penalty should you have a claim. And the way that ends is you getting a check for much less than you think you should be getting. Don't want to see that happen. Co-insurance, long-winded subject. We're not going to get into full details today. You want to have another conversation about it? Click the direct message. Looks like the little paper airplane. Send me a note. Be happy to go through it with you. Number three, continuous but ongoing cybersecurity, data breach, ransomware. You're starting to hear more and more about this on the news because foreign actors are taking over pipelines and other critical U.S. infrastructure causing pain to our country. Well, guess what, folks? The cyber criminals out there who are in it for profit, cryptocurrency has enabled them to be in a very lucrative business by taking over mid-sized businesses' systems and holding them ransom, i.e. ransomware. We've seen the claims on those types of attacks go from over 400,000, this is the average claim, over 400,000 to 1.2 million. Claims have tripled. There is no repercussion for a cyber criminal who gets paid in cryptocurrency for taking over your system. It's untraceable, it's untrackable, and therefore it's on the rise. Cyber insurance is a subject that most business owners and managers I speak with don't want to talk about. They don't want to go through the steps to review it, but it's very, very important. And frankly, it's very, very inexpensive to add a layer of protection for your company and your business. So again, you want more info, you want more details, click the direct message button, send me a note, be happy to talk to you about that. Number 4, where this is getting into a forward-looking emerging risk. How many contractors do you think are going to honor their prices on jobs that they committed to when the cost of building materials has increased as much as 50%? Sometimes 100%, depending on the material. Contractors are going to have no choice but to walk away from jobs that they bonded and they committed a pricing to when the customer is unwilling to let them out of the negotiated price. That's going to have a significant impact on the surety industry down the road. When those types of claims start occurring, the surety industry is going to be impacted. If the surety industry is impacted, guess what, folks? Rates start to go up. So right now is critical for you to be putting financial controls in place and being able to tell a story to the surety underwriters that review your accounts why you are a better surety risk than your peers. That's the case in any hard market. You have to be the shining star in a market of challenges. If you do, you will continue to have underwriters competing for your business, competing to offer you better terms than your peers, and therefore you will have achieved what? An advantage. That's what this year's subjects are all about, giving you an advantage in the marketplace. You as a business owner or manager, you have so many challenges right now. I'm here to give you an advantage, and that's why we need to start thinking about things that are problems before they become problems. So that's something on the surety market. Moving into number 1, or number 5, however we're counting here, workers' compensation. For everyone who's been seeing increases in their insurance renewals, workers' comp has been a darling of that process because for the last several years, workers' comp rates have been declining. If we're living in an environment where mental health is challenged, people are distracted, people are being unsafe, how long is it before we start to see the claims? We're already starting to see them on the rise on the road. How long before we start to see them in the workplace? How long before the effects of mental health become a workers' comp issue? How long before the effects of COVID become an issue to the workers' comp marketplace? If you read the periodicals right now, they'll be telling you how great it is for workers' comp. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about takes years to show in results. So again, what are you doing today for something that's going to challenge your workers' comp program 2 to 3 years down the road? What are you doing within your company to be a best practices organization so that when the workers' comp underwriters start telling you we need to raise rates, you have a reason they shouldn't? That's what about being a best practices. That's what risk management is all about. Doing the hard work today before it becomes a problem down the road. Being a best-in-class operator, being a best-in-class company. By the way, best-in-class operators, best-in-class companies, best practices organizations, the cultures that are ingrained there are ones that are typically of high retention, great employee quality, great company culture. Employees don't leave those companies. And since right now, the number one complaint I'm hearing out in the marketplace is that it is hard to find good people. It's impossible even in some scenarios. The best culture companies have A-star teams. So if you want to implement resources and time into a program, why not start with your workers' comp program? Start with your safety program. Start with your culture. Those are going to pay dividends far beyond the bottom of your premium page. But by the way, it's going to have a great impact there too. If you drop your mod 20 points, what's that going to do for your insurance premium page? Well, guess what? Everything else that's causing that mod to drop, the culture of your company, the safety of your company, you're going to reap those rewards right now. Because if you have a culture that's better than your competitors, guess what, folks? You win. You have an advantage in the marketplace. This is the Risk Safeguard Advantage podcast. I'm John Bielik, your host. If you liked anything I talked about today, click the like button. If you want to talk about it further, send me a note, send me a message. I am taking appointments in the next several weeks, So I'd be happy to chat with you and see how we can implement some best practice risk management strategies in your company to give you an advantage and a leg up over the competition. Have a great week. Take care. Be safe. Get rest. Take time off. Go on vacation. Be well.